Attorney Match. In today's episode, we'll discuss the digital opportunities that selling personal injury law firms present to buying personal injury law firms. And I'm very excited to introduce my colleague, Chris Princis from Consumer Attorney Marketing Group. Chris, welcome to In 7 Minutes. And could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about CAMG?
Yeah, Jeremy, thanks, and appreciate you having me on. Yeah, we'll start with the least important part of that question. I've been in this industry for a little over 10 years, specifically with a lot with mass torts, but local single event folks as well. CAMG has almost mirrored that. We've been at this for a little over 13 years, just in the plaintiff in the PI firm, PI space, and we do the full scope of marketing, everything from the creative to the media buying, all channels of media, intake, contracting, and medical records. So we've got a good full scope of what it takes to get somebody interested, all the way through what leads to what we call a compensable case.
Wonderful. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
In terms of, why has growth by acquisition even come to the legal industry, right? When a buying PI firm is thinking about the value that a selling PI firm presents, there's really four components to that value, which is the instant client growth that a selling PI firm presents, combined workforce, cumulative experience, and the marketing value. And so for today, we're going to be talking about the digital opportunities that a selling PI firm presents. And that digital opportunity, Chris, really want to get your perspective on when a selling PI firm, where PI firms, as we know, they've been ahead of the curve for a really long time. Often a selling PI firm, unlike other areas of the law, PI firms often have 20 plus years of experience with digital marketing. So when a selling PI firm is being bought by a buying firm, Chris, what are some of your thoughts on how the buyer can really leverage that digital value, that marketing value that a selling PI firm presents?
Yeah, I mean it's so key, and if firms out there aren't doing it now, right after we're done talking, you need to get on this, because it's sticky, and it's trackable value. Surprisingly, very few firms get that, and the ones that do get it are really ahead of the curve, because on with digital, you've got a few sticky things and long-term things. So SEO, we hear a lot about this. That's something that it takes a little while to get ramped up, and you have to do it right, and you have to be persistent with it, and you have to be aggressive with it. But once you get that set up, that's going to be paying dividends for years to come. And then a number of these things that are trackable. Google reviews is a huge one. That's something that's you can see the data, you can see the number of reviews, you can see the quality of the reviews, and that ties in with your SEO. So these are things that don't work in independent silos; they work as a team, and you have to be doing it correctly. And then with social media, this is another one, and you've got all of them there. It's not just Facebook, right? That's kind of that's known as the old man social media. So for people like me, but a firm has to have all of these working in unison. Again, you can track the number of likes, you can track the number of clicks, you can track the history of how many posts a firm has done and the quality of those posts. So, this digital opportunity is immense, especially for all firms, but especially for a firm looking for a higher evaluation if they're looking to sell their practice.
Sure. And also just from the buyer's side, let's talk a little bit about backlinks, Chris, right? Because your day-to-day PI firm knows that they have to increase their backlinks. They need to increase their Google reviews, right? So if a buyer is thinking, hey, how do I increase my market share? What's the value if a selling PI firm is coming to a buyer and saying, look, we've got hundreds of backlinks. We've got 1,000 plus Google reviews.
Yep.
What does that mean to a buyer when a seller comes with that kind of data behind the seller?
I mean, it's imperative, right? These are things that you can track, and when buyers, it's money. We need to see what looks good on spreadsheets, what value, what ROI is this going to turn into, and you have to have that sort of data. And with backlinks specifically, and we've really gotten in the last year interested in that. So that actually brings in having some PR work up front, where a firm is proactively thinking about, okay, how can I get on the news? What press releases should I be doing? How should I be going out in the community? Number one. Number two, how are we doing this correctly? And then putting those assets, that work, into a digital format. So how is that showing up on the website? What words are being used? So again, it's not a silo thing. Don't do PR and don't do SEO and don't do digital. You have to look at this holistically and how they work together. And once that flywheel gets going, it's especially with backlinks and with SEO results. We had a client that was in the social media bullying victims category, and he was doing some great PR work, not doing a good job with backlinks. So we advised him on exactly how to post the backlinks, how to tie them back to his website, and his rankings. He's usually in the top 2 right now nationally for social media bullying, and that's all because of doing a great job with his backlinks.
Terrific. So now let's flip the switch in a way. Let's look at this through the eyes of consumers, right? We know that 2020 pivoted our society, not just the legal world, right, but the entire world, right? We all pivoted digitally. Today's consumers of legal services, they are searching for their lawyers on Google. So when it comes to a buying firm that wants to gain more and more attention of potential clients, what does a selling PI firm present to a buying firm who wants to increase the scope and the breadth of their practice? Why does growth by acquisition help a buying firm in terms of attracting more potential clients to their practice?
Yeah, I think that, and we talked about this previously, Jeremy. That it's so important to have their digital in place, because this for PI firms, right? A lot of the claimants, a lot of the clients calling don't have a network of people that they can ask for an attorney referral. So a lot of the reason they're coming to an attorney is because they see an advertisement, and now they're going on Google, they're going onto all the social media channels that you've got listed here. And if a firm isn't being sensitive to that, being active with it, having all of their attorneys be active with it, because a client will be assigned an attorney, and then that person will be looking up the attorney. So you want to make sure not only your firm is covered, but all of your lawyers are also doing an accurate job with LinkedIn, with Facebook, with Instagram, and paying attention to it day in and day out. So now this book of social media business for a buying firm can look at this and go, "This is impressive. They're off to a great start." And again, this isn't like a pay-per-click or TV where it's kind of one and done. There's some stickiness there. There's some traction to show the value that's been built, and then you have a scaling. You have a strategy to continue scaling, because a buying law firm is going to come in and say, they've got the book on this, so we can easily step in, and it'll be an much easier transition.
Absolutely. So then for today's buzzer beater, when it comes to the digital opportunities that selling PI firms present to buyers, we have to first recognize that growth by acquisition has come to the legal industry because of the synergy value that selling firms present to buying firms. When it comes to the marketing value in particular for PI firms present great value to buyers. That is, senior attorney-led PI firms present great value to buyers because they've already been investing. That is, the senior attorney-led firms have already been investing in omni-channel digital marketing, often for 10 or even 20 plus years. And from a buyer's standpoint, building off of that digital value of what a seller has already developed presents a tremendous way to grow by acquisition. In addition, when it comes to consumers, in today's marketplace, we are competing amongst multiple other PI firms for the attention of today's consumer. And from a buyer's standpoint, to be able to benefit from the marketing value that senior attorney-led firms present offers great opportunities for buying firms to continue to grow their practice and attract more clients to their firms. So Chris, I'll hand it over to you for your final thoughts on what are those digital opportunities that selling PI firms present to buying firms.
Yeah, and you have to go into it very intelligently. You have to go in knowing how to track everything. You have to track the data. You have to optimize based on what's working, what isn't working, and pay attention to it day in and day out. And that, again, for lack of a better term, that's very sticky business. That's something that can be put in a spreadsheet and shown in ROI, uh, you know, for the buyer of a business, and they can see that they're stepping into a really nice book of business and something that's already built, is already tracking, and for years to come is already in place. So it's so important to pay attention to all the details and make sure each firm that's listening out there is paying attention to your social media and your SEO every day.
Wonderful. Great. Chris Princis from Consumer Attorney Marketing Group. Thanks so much for joining the state of the market for law firm sales in a little bit more than 7 minutes.
Thanks, Jeremy.